This is cs952, Introduction to Web Technologies and Design, and in our last video we added all of the media queries for our different devices. Now we started off, the first thing we did, let's return to our selector that we created. As you recall, under Sources and under Global we have a selector. I can't find it right away, so let me start to type it. It's a photo gallery, right? Oh, nope, we wanted photo gallery image. Here we go. So we had a selector for styles, for global, and for photo gallery for the image, and this rule said make all your images 100% wide, and that was very effective. But now we're going to create a new rule for small devices. Now how do we do this? I'm going to grab my live view scrubber, and I'm going to move it to put it inside of the small zone. Right? This is this blue region here, or the purple region. Okay. And I have my image selected here. And I'm going to choose, this is styles. Now this time, rather than selecting global, I want to make sure that my rule is for a minimum width of 768 pixels. And I've got my image selected down here. I'm going to click to add a selector. It's going to be the same selector we added before. Again, we don't need the class definition of column middle medium 12. I'm just going to hit the up arrow key. And so we're creating a new selector, and this selector, we're saving it in the styles file, and we're saying that when our screen has a minimum width of 768 pixels, we're going to create a selector for any image that's inside of the photo gallery. So I'm going to hit enter. So again, here are the conditions that have to be met. It has to be an image that's inside of the photo gallery, and the width of our screen has to be at least 768 pixels. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my layout, and under width, I'm going to click again under width, and again I'm going to choose percentage. And again, my images are going to disappear because I've got a width of 0%, and I'm going to put in 50%. So look at that. Well, this is pretty easy to figure out, right? If each image is 50% of the screen size, how many do you think we're going to fit? Well, if each image is only 50% wide, we can probably fit 2 of them, right? So I'm going to hit Save All. Let's go ahead and save this work that we've done. And we can test our page out. We can move our live view scrubber, and you'll see as soon as we cross that media query line, now we've got one image. As soon as our screen width gets above 767 pixels, as soon as we hit 768, now we've got 2 images. So this is a clear demonstration of how media queries work. Under what conditions will these rules take effect? And you can see that our navigation bar is operating under that same media query because it also changes from a full navigation bar to the abbreviated navigation bar. Pretty great stuff. So we're going to write one more media query, and this one we want it to be, I'm going to collapse my icons and drag all the way out. We want to write a condition for when we're in the widest view, 1200 pixels or larger. So how do we do that? Well, I need to go back to, I'm going to expand my panels. Again, I want to be working with styles.css. For my media query, I want to choose the minimum width of my screen size has got to be 1200 pixels. And I've got my image selected down here. I can see that in the status bar. And when I add selectors, again, Dreamweaver is saying, well, Dreamweaver is being very thorough. These images have to be inside of the photo gallery, but they also have to be in the class of column medium 12. We don't really need that class, so I'm going to hit the up arrow key to delete that. This is really the heart of what we need, and I'm going to hit enter. And once again, I'm going to go to my image width, but I'm going to change it from 50%. I'm thinking that the number that we want to use is 25%, okay? So under width, I'm going to go and I'm going to choose percentage. And again, So they didn't disappear. It didn't disappear because we're actually not viewing it in the 1200 pixel range because our screen isn't quite large enough. We're going to put in 25%, okay? And I'm going to hit Save All. And let's preview this in a web browser. Let's go to F12, Preview in Chrome. And you'll see that as soon as we hit that, there we go. There we are at 1200 plus. As soon as we hit 1200 plus, we get 4 in a row. As soon as we go under 1200, we get 2 in a row. And then as soon as we go under 768, we get 1 in a row. So look what we've done with CSS. When we started, we had images that were a fixed size. They didn't respond to the size of our web browser. Now we're able to actually rescale, and you can actually see the power of media queries, the ability to change the way that our page looks based upon the width of our page. This is how media queries work, and this is at the heart of modern website design, making a web page responsive, changing depending on what we're doing. We're going to do something that's kind of fun. This is in the fun category for sure. We're going to go to our styles, and I want to go to global, and I want to find that very first style rule that we set up. Remember the one for photos and for images. And if I can't find my selector right away, where we have that little magnifying lens, if I just type PH for photo, here we go. Here's a list of everything that begins with PH. And this is the one that we want. Okay? In fact, if we look over here, we can see we actually have several of them. And if I hover over them, this one is the one at 768 pixels. This is the one at 1200. We want the first one in the list, which is our global one. And we're going to add a unique CSS property. It's not one of the standard properties in the standard list. Let me make some more room here so we can see everything. It's not one of the items that shows up automatically in the list, like height and width. So we're going to have to click on the More button. And the property that we want to add is transition. So under Add Property, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to start to type the word transition. T-R-A-N-S-I. And Dreamweaver's already filling in the details for us. It's saying, are you looking for transition? And that's exactly what we want. And we have a list of default values. We're going to click on All. Okay. And this is, I don't know, sometimes Dreamweaver does this. Sometimes when we put in a value, it disappears. If I click away and then click back, I can see here's my value. So I've got transition, and I've got all. And I'm going to add in one more property. Okay, after the word all, we've got ALL. Okay, this is real important. You have to do this exactly as specified. Hit the space bar to add a space, and then type 1.5, and then the letter S. And now you can hit enter. So what did we just now do? That looked kind of exciting, what we saw on the screen, right? If we go down here and look, we added a new CSS property that says transition. We said all, and we said 1.5 seconds. So this is what this means. We said that we want to transition between one CSS value to another CSS value. We don't want there to be a switch. We want there to be a transition. Now we could specify one CSS value like width or height, but we said all. The next value that we set was what is the time of this transition, and we put in 1.5 seconds. So let's preview this in Chrome, and Dreamweaver asked, do you want to save the changes? And we say yep. So let's look at what's happening now. Our images don't just switch from one size to another, right? It takes 1.5 seconds for that change to take place. So if I go from this very small view, this would be like iPhone level. Now it's a little bit more animated. And that's what we can do with CSS transitions. Now that you see this effect, you probably realize you've seen this quite a few times on websites where rather than having an effect take place instantly, we provide just a little bit of a delay, and it makes everything so much more interesting. Now we're going to do one more effect in the last video that again is just for the fun of it, but we've gone through so much work to get so far. I think it's okay if we do something just to have a little visual excitement on our website.